There was once a time, not too long ago, when Americans made fun of land yachts that were built from the 50s to the 90s. We're talking cars that were long, that were wide, that could fit like 15 bodies in the trunk of those cars. But now here we are in the 2020s, and we're doing the exact same thing all over again, but with SUVs. In the three-row crossover market, these vehicles are getting larger with each passing year, such as the Honda Pilot, Nissan Pathfinder, Ford Explorer. And now it's time for Toyota to get in on the action with the Grand Highlander, which has been around for a few years now. It's been very difficult getting my hands on one of these because they have become so popular in the Toyota lineup. But in today's video, we're going to check out what this model has to offer. Is it worth the price tag of over $50,000? Is it a vehicle worth paying extra for over that Highlander? And more importantly, is this going to be the next three-row crossover in your driveway? Well, in today's video, we're going to find out. Now, before we get in this review, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to AutoFair Toyota in Tewksbury, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the Toyota Grand Highlander. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Toyota inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the Toyota Grand Highlander XLE, you're looking at a starting cost of just over $50,000. Now for the 2025 model year, there have been some slight changes here. Nothing in regards to the aesthetics, but the packages and overall features that you're going to have here with this model. So for one, the XLE is no longer the base trim. That's going to be the LE, giving you better affordability into this market and might be a good choice for those of you on a stricter budget. But with the XLE, you can now go with bench seats, whereas in the past, you could only get captain chairs. So a lot more flexibility for the overall practicality and seating arrangements for this vehicle. Now, for those of you wondering, how does the Grand Highlander fit into the lineup? It is 7 inches longer than the Highlander and is on par in terms of size with the Honda Pilot, Nissan Pathfinder, and Ford Explorer, because the Highlander is now 194 inches in length, and it's quite small compared to all of its contemporary rivals. I'm interested in seeing what Toyota does with that particular product in the near future. But as we take a look at the aesthetics for this vehicle, you are going to have full LED headlights up front, but I really like the smaller accents though that really tie everything together to this vehicle. You have the chrome accents outline the front fascia and underneath those headlights for a nice classy touch. But also you're going to have gloss black trim for that front grille. No cheap plastic materials. Love to see that. Unfortunately though, you're not going to have functional side air curtains. They're there for aesthetic purposes, but unfortunately it doesn't help out with the overall aerodynamics of this model. But definitely in regards to its exterior appearance, it looks more aggressive for sure. Then for the lower portion of the front bumper, you're going to have that cladding right there, which is typical for a crossover in this market. But because of the lower ground clearance, I don't think you'll be taking this vehicle off-road. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, you are going to have 18-inch alloy wheels with the XLE. To me, this is going to be the right size for a vehicle in this market. The 18s will keep that road noise to a happy medium. Also, with this vehicle not being a body-on-frame SUV, it should be able to absorb the bumps and imperfections on your weekday commutes. You have body color match side mirror caps with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Also a nice touch here, you have some chrome accents outline the bottom of those windows, and best of all, you will have some roof rails here as well, giving you more of a higher quality appearance to this vehicle. Then as you make your way around to the back, just like we saw up front, you are going to have full LED taillights. Now from this angle, I think the Grand Highlander looks a lot like a RAV4, which might actually be done on purpose, where if you're someone looking for a larger crossover in the lineup, you don't want to go with that Highlander, you now need a real legitimate three-row SUV. The Grand Highlander is going to be a better choice over that 4Runner or Toyota Sequoia, which both are very expensive, but also with the Grand Highlander, it shouldn't be too far different than that RAV4 you've been used to over the past few years. For the lower portion of the rear bumper, you're going to have that cladding once again, obviously for a crossover in this market. And then around the final third of this model, you're not going to have visible exhaust outlets or cutouts like we would find in some sportier rivals, but those exhaust outlets are tucked beneath the bumper for that cleaner appearance. Powering the Toyota Grand Highlander XLE is going to be a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Producing 265 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, it is going to be paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Typical for most crossovers in this market, you are going to have some drivetrain options. You can go with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive for better year-end capability and versatility. Now, also available for the Grand Highlander is a hybrid powertrain, giving you better performance and better overall efficiency. However, what we have here today with this Turbo 4 might be more than adequate for what you're looking for out of a 3-row SUV. You're going to receive right around 21 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway, which is slightly better than some of the naturally aspirated V6 powered crossovers in this segment. So if you're looking for that extra space, you want to have that larger third row, better cargo area, you have that with this model thanks to its larger dimensions, but you're also going to have that better efficiency. So it's a win-win overall with the Grand Highlander. Hopping inside the Grand Highlander XLE, you are going to receive power-adjustable, heated, soft-tech seats for both the driver and passenger. And despite the fact these seats are not going to have genuine leather upholstery, they are quite plush and comfortable. I'm actually genuinely surprised here with this vehicle because I think the bolstering and support is pretty good for a 3-row SUV of this size. Now, obviously, you're not going to have aggressive bolsters like a sports crossover, but I think on those longer road trips, on those weekend getaways, when you're traveling 3, 4, 5+ hours a day, I think you're going to find yourself rather comfortable here being behind the wheel and up front in this model. But it does get even better though, because you're going to have a nice balance of technology and physical buttons. So a nice analog experience, a tactile experience that I think a lot of you are still looking for, even at this price range, over $50,000. So let's dive right into that. So let's first start off with this steering wheel. It feels really nice in the hands. No aggressive 10-2 or firm 9-3 grips, but I'm not surprised by that at all. However, you are going to have some buttons here on the steering wheel to help you control that digital gauge cluster in front of you. Now, we've gone over this numerous times in the Toyota product line over the past few months and really over the past year, so I'm not going to take a deep dive into this today. So from this screen, you'll be able to access your fuel economy statistics, also your onboard compass, your adaptive cruise control settings, your radio settings, and I think probably more importantly, you can turn on or off all your safety systems if you so desire. But I would leave all of these on for added assurance and peace of mind if you are going to be driving this vehicle on a daily basis with your family on board with you. But this is a nice balance for a lot of people not looking for a tech-filled or immersive experience. Toyota doesn't typically give you a lot of options in regards to the digital gauge cluster, so I do think that for a model in the 2020s, this is going to be the happy medium for a lot of you. Then quickly transitioning over to the infotainment system, this is actually going to be a very easy and simple process to get used to this screen. On the left side of the head unit will be quick access icons, which will get you different menus efficiently, such as your onboard navigation system, which you can subscribe to, your radio, which is paired with a 6-speaker audio system, so I would recommend going higher up in the trim levels for that better sound system. You're going to have your smartphone connectivity here with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, and there will be a wireless phone charging pad as well with the XLE. And then you're going to have 2 icons here for your vehicle settings and general settings. That is it. That's all you need to get used to. No difficult menus, no immersive experience here. Very straightforward. I think a lot of you are going to like that here since it is paired up with that digital gauge cluster. Helping you out with all of this though is that beneath the head unit will be physical buttons and dials for your dual zone climate control up front, AC, front rear defrosters, fan speed and fan direction, your rear climate control, also your 3-level heated seats. This is so great to see because a lot of this will be embedded on the head unit in most rivals. So it's giving you a nice balance here. And then before we continue on with the rest of the interior, when you do place the Grand Highlander XLE in reverse, you are going to have a rear backup camera with trajectory and a 180-degree view giving you better visibility. But that is it. No top view, no side views, or front-facing camera. You have to go a little higher up in the trim levels to receive all of that. Now, as you make our way towards the center console, you will find your push button start here, 2 USB-C inputs, but there's also a USB-C outlet on the dashboard on the passenger side. So a lot of opportunities to connect your smartphone or iPads in this vehicle. Now, for the center console itself, you will find your wireless phone charging pad and also a cubby for an additional smartphone. You're going to have 2 cup holders here and also another storage compartment for some other items as well. Maybe a wallet or 2, maybe an additional smartphone. Then you're going to have your traditional gear shifter here, your electronic parking brake, auto vehicle hold, and then for the center console itself where you're going to be resting your arm, here you have all your buttons for your auto start stop, your traction control, then your drive mode selector for eco, sport, rock and dirt, mud and sand, then of course normal. You're going to have snow mode and your hill descent control button as well. So even though I don't think you'll be taking this particular model off-road, you're going to have that capability though when you do encounter snow-covered roadways. Then for the standard storage compartment, it is massively deep. I mean, you can easily store a number of 17-ounce water bottles here. I mean, that gives you a lot of flexibility when you are camping or going on those road trips. But if you have items that will entertain your kids in the second and third row, you can easily store them here as well. And then to round out the front seating area, we do not have that optional sunroof here for the XLE, so you won't have that extra light beaming down on you when you are cruising around on a daily basis, but that will maximize that headroom for passengers in the second and third rows. Now for passengers in the second row, they're going to receive right around 39.5 inches of legroom, which is close to the top in this class. It falls just a bit short compared to a Kia Telluride. But I'm not complaining at all here. I mean, this seat is adjusted most of the way back. It's also on a recline, and I don't feel cramped or claustrophobic, so this is really great to see. On top of this, we don't have that optional panoramic moonroof for this model, giving us a lot more headroom as well. So if you are going to accommodate taller passengers, you can most certainly do that here with the Grand Highlander. Now also, as you can tell, we have the captain chairs for our model today, giving us a lot more of those creature comforts and amenities, and also really heightening and elevating the ownership experience for this crossover. But for the 2025 model year, you can go with bench seats if you want to accommodate a third person in the center. But either way, this vehicle is going to give you a lot of flexibility in regards to the overall practicality. But what about the creature comforts though? Because the XLE is not going to be a top trim for the Grand Highlander. Well, you are going to receive climate control back here. So 3-zone climate control with the XLE. You'll be able to adjust the fan speed and fan direction. Also, of course, at temperature back here. There will be 2 USB-C inputs found on the center console in front of you, along with a 12-volt outlet. But best of all, though, you are going to have sunshades to block out the haters, but also block out that sunlight if you are going to be on your laptops or smartphones on a weekend journey. Also, another thing, too, with these captain chairs, before we move on and check out the third row, they can recline a bit to maximize that headroom, but also maximize that interior comfort here. So with the Softex upholstery, with these captain chairs, this really does feel like an entry-level luxury 3-row crossover. And then for passengers in the third row, this is really impressive here because you're looking at right around 33 inches of legroom. Now, this is not going to be class-leading again. That is for the Kia Telluride. But if you're not looking at a large body-on-frame SUV, you're not looking in the Toyota Sequoia direction, you're not looking at buying a Chevrolet Tahoe, the amount of space here, I think, allows you to fit someone around the height of 5'6" or 5'7". I'm going to stand by that statement because you have a good amount of headroom here, but also legroom-wise, I don't feel cramped or claustrophobic. Also, these seats are not bolted to the floor, so I'm not sitting in a ball here. I don't think I'll be dealing with any type of fatigue on a longer road trip. So this vehicle is very family-friendly in more ways than one, and also very comfortable as well. Also back here, you will have 2 USB-C inputs again, so if you have 2 passengers back here, they can plug in their smartphones, and there will also be 2 cup holders as well. Then returning to the rear fascia to take a look at the cargo area. With the XLE, you are going to receive a power liftgate, and inside, behind the third row seats, you're looking at right around 20.5 cubic feet of room. This is going to be on par with its closest rivals, but more importantly, as you guys know, I like seeing more than 20 cubic feet of room back here, and the Grand Highlander is going to provide that and then some. I was able to fit all my camera gear today with no issues. That's 3 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod. On top of this, there's a lot more space to stack on other items as well. So if you are going on a grocery run and you have kids in the third row, you can most certainly do that here with this model. This is actually highly impressive compared to other models I've experienced in this segment. And when you lower the third row seats, you're looking at right around 58 cubic feet of room. So if you have no intentions of using that third row, this is far more practical than a RAV4, than that Highlander. So the Grand Highlander badge does make sense when you start factoring in the practicality and overall interior space. And then lastly, once you lower the second row seats, you're looking at close to 98 cubic feet of room. This is really impressive, and also for an SUV that's not body on frame. You got to remember too, this isn't a Sequoia, this isn't a GMC Yukon, this is not a Chevrolet Tahoe. So the fact that we have this amount of interior space is going to give you a lot of flexibility if you do have a growing family right now. Despite my reservations towards Toyota dropping the naturally aspirated V6 out of the Highlander and not giving us a V6 in the Grand Highlander, this 2.4 is actually surprising me today. It feels smooth, it feels refined, and paired with this 8-speed automatic transmission, it does not skip a beat. I was expecting an experience similar to the Infiniti QX60, which now uses a Turbo 4. But thankfully, that isn't the case, and it doesn't resemble that model in any way, shape, or form. For a vehicle coming in at $50,000, I think this Turbo 4 does a pretty good job of feeling competitive with the models that have a naturally aspirated V6, such as that Kia Telluride, such as that Honda Pilot, and Nissan Pathfinder, without feeling as though that you're getting an engine that just doesn't fit an SUV of this size and is unable to move a vehicle with this amount of weight. In fact, it feels rather spry and quite responsive. Now, as we get on the highway here, let's see what it can do. In the corners, yeah, you feel the body roll there. Very top heavy. And I'm not in sport mode right now. And I was easily able to enter the highway safely. That's really good. Most Turbo 4s leave a lot more to be desired and have a lot of turbo lag. With the Grand Highlander, that's not the case here. To not even be in sport mode, and to have this amount of agility and responsiveness, I'm really impressed. Now, at highway speeds, at around 70 miles an hour, road noise is very audible. Now, that's to be expected with the squared-off body lines, and even though we have 18s, I'm not expecting a Lexus TX experience or a luxury experience here. However, it most certainly does the job. Better yet, this suspension is very comfortable. While it's not going to be as aggressively tuned or as off-road worthy and ready as a 4Runner or Toyota Sequoia, this is going to be a nice upgrade over Toyota RAV4. Not only size-wise and practicality speaking, but also performance. This is a solid upgrade over that RAV4. In fact, I look at this as a direct upgrade over the RAV4 compared to the Highlander. The Highlander is kind of getting forgotten about, which I'm kind of expecting that model to be dropped in the near future, mostly because it's too small to compete with a Pathfinder, a Ford Explorer, even a Mazda CX-70 or CX-90, whereas the Grand Highlander is designed and engineered to take on all of those competitors. And I think it does that pretty well, even with the XLE. For me, I don't really demand anything more out of this model. Some people might want ventilated seats or genuine leather upholstery. I don't think that's really necessary here. The Softex seats most certainly do the job and then some. Also, with the amount of interior space up front, it feels like a grand crossover here. Now, okay, it's not going to feel as rugged or as capable as some of the body-on-frame SUVs in this segment, but that's perfectly okay. And while I do think that some people would prefer the sound of a naturally aspirated V6 or the inline-6 out of the Mazda CX-90, what you have here with this 2.4, I think is going to meet your demands and then some. Now, where you might find better for the Toyota Grand Highlander is with the technology, but that's a personal preference. If you don't need a full digital gauge cluster, you don't need an immersive experience overall, then you'll be happy here with the Grand Highlander. If you're comparing this to a Honda Pilot, what you're going to notice here is that this is far more comfortable, far more soft-tuned, and I think you're also going to like the fact that I think it feels a bit more family-friendly. Because when you start getting in the higher trims for the Pilot, it's rugged. Whereas with the Grand Highlander, I think it's definitely for someone who's going to be dropping off their kids to school or going on those soccer trips. This is where I think the Grand Highlander is at its best. Now, also comparing this to other rivals as well, this might simply boil down to the overall practicality, maybe even the efficiency as well. Because I think when it comes to the interior space, this is far better than most competitors outside the Kia Telluride. And then when it comes to the efficiency, 21 miles per gallon in the city, 28 miles per gallon on the highway is most certainly better than a lot of vehicles using naturally aspirated V6s. So there might be some give or takes here in this market and for the Grand Highlander, but I think overall, what you have for a vehicle coming in at $50,000, as you've already discussed and discovered with the interior layout, even the exterior design, I think you're really going to like what this crossover is offering. And I do think that if you are looking at an upgrade over your RAV4, over your Highlander, you don't need to leave the Toyota brand. The Grand Highlander is giving you everything you possibly want out of an SUV, and I do think it will meet and exceed some of your expectations. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the Toyota Grand Highlander XLE. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.